Anyway, we're going to watch this whatever thing. Like the stream, check the links in my description. Brian Atlas has heated debate with trans woman over gender ideology. I want to see what's going on here. Let's have a look.
Does anybody, what are your pronouns?
She, they.
She, anybody else a they? A zer?
I mean, collectively, they're a they.
Any zers at the table?
I had a teacher who was a zer.
So some days you're a he? Or just they?
Only like my really, really close friends do like he and stuff. But like, outside of that, mostly she, they.
Sometimes you're he.
Yeah, only with like really close people.
So you guys didn't have a chance to answer the questionnaire, but I'll direct. Do you think a man dating a transgender woman is straight?
I think if the trans woman went through gender reassignment surgery and has fully transitioned.
The Peterson girl, I have no idea.
In terms that they're fully on estrogen and hormones, because honestly, you cannot tell for a good handful of trans women, then I would say yes.
I can tell.
Sure.
I kind of agree with this person in a way. If you perceive someone that much as female and they resemble female that much, and when you have sex, it is like having sex with a female more than like a male, even if they're not actually female. I do tend to agree, because attraction is based more on what you see and perceive rather than, you know, knowing what someone's sex is before you can even consider any of that. If you're a trans woman and you look kind of like a male and you have a dick and a man starts dating you, I don't really think that's straight, you know?
Okay.
But I don't super care. If someone wants to say, for example, that my partner isn't a lesbian because they're dating me, I don't give a fuck. You can think that if you want.
Are you?
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, you are?
You don't.
It's like you're pregnant. How the fuck?
He saw quickly believed it.
See? You don't know.
So, go ahead.
That's just my.
I mean, they don't sound trans if they are.
I believe that if the woman fully transitioned, then they're straight. But I don't know. I am very open-minded when it comes to sexuality, gender.
Yeah, what I will agree with. People are sweating the labels too much at this point anyway. People are sweating, oh, well, if I date a trans woman, am I gay? Like, does it matter? What matters is like if you're dating someone that you love and who loves you. If you think that I'm in a straight relationship with a woman, that's fine. You know, I don't give a fuck. I don't really care about labels. I care about being with someone that I love, ultimately.
Life in general.
Like, if you're a guy and you would date a trans woman, but for the fact that you're scared it would make you gay, that's kind of stupid, in my opinion. Shouldn't matter that much. Maybe some people are going to think you're gay because you're with a trans woman. You know what I mean? She disproved his point because he had to ask. Yeah.
So, okay. I don't know. It doesn't. Nobody's hurting me. I respect everybody. So.
What if they haven't had the gender reassignment surgery? So just the bottom surgery, would that be straight?
Most people are attracted to trans women specifically, want trans women and not women. But I think it's more complicated than that because you don't really know who you're going to come across. You don't really know who you're going to find attractive. Like, in abstract, you can say that, but in practice, anyone could come across any one person when they would never date a trans woman ordinarily. But they see that particular person, that is someone that they're into, you know what I mean? I don't have female genitalia. Like, having a neo-vagina isn't the same as having a vagina, to be clear. But like, the way I kind of make that work is like, well, if you're having sex with someone who has a neo-vagina, functionally, it works a lot more like having sex with a woman than a man. As long as you're cutting out anything to do with like, you know, pregnancy and stuff. Like, it's going to be much more natural for a lesbian if they have to fuck a trans woman or a man and the trans woman is post-op. It's going to be much more natural for them to have sex with someone who's post-op because it more resembles female genitalia.
If they have had bottom surgery, they have not.
Have not.
Well,
but they're a woman, right?
I think that gender and sex are two different things. I think sex is related to your genitalia and your hormones, such as estrogen or testosterone, but gender can be more of a fluid spectrum. Obviously, people feel different ways about that, but that's my opinion in my social analysis of it.
Your sex can't
sex, you have XX chromosomes.
I disagree. Labels are necessary. We use labels to be able to refer to things and know what each other is talking about. It's when people get too obsessed with having to embody one label or another, having to be described by one label or another. I think trans people fall foul of this way too much, where, say, a trans woman will be way too obsessed with the idea that they have to be referred to as a woman. When surely, like, just live your life. People are going to refer to you how they refer to you. Like, labels are important, but when we obsess over labels, it becomes a problem. Like, you shouldn't be transitioning solely so that you can, you know, have some legitimacy to taking on a different label. It's a very bizarre mentality, in my opinion. I feel the same way about, like, sexuality. Like I said, if the only reason you wouldn't date a trans woman is because you're too worried about being called gay or the bisexual or gay label applying to you, then that is a bit ridiculous, because you're more interested in the label than what might make you happy, regardless of labels. Does that make sense?
Or you have XY chromosomes. You can be a biological male or you can be a biological female. And I think there's a third, there's like intersex. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super rare, and most transgender people are not intersex.
Yeah. So I think,
And most intersex people are male or female.
if gender reassignment,
Part of me really thinks most people are a little bisexual. I'd be inclined to agree. I've met, like, straight women who have dated a woman and then gone back to dating men again, because you don't really know who you'll fall for. So you could say that technically a lot more people are bisexual than we think. I think sexuality is a bit more fluid than a lot of people think, myself.
surgery hasn't gone through. Me, personally, I think that if you as a man are attracted to somebody who has the same genitalia as you, that is just not what the definition of being straight is. You know, I think that you have to have a sexual attraction to, you know, female genitalia, but that's just me. And again, I don't know, I'm always open to any perspective when it comes to that. That's just how I feel right now.
Well, so straight is short form slang for heterosexual.
Right.
And so sexuality relates to your attraction to someone's sex.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Even granting the differences in gender identity, so somebody's a male, but that gender identity is that of a woman.
Right.
It's baked into the term itself, heterosexuality. Mm-hmm. So heterosexuality, two males, even regardless of the gender identity. So if if two males, one of them is cis, kind of an annoying term, but and the other is a transgender woman, that can never be, if two males are having sex, it can never be straight.
Even if
I'll be honest, I don't entirely agree, but I also don't super care. If you think that it's always gay if it's two males, then fair enough. Like, I'm not actually invested in change someone's mind on that. To be honest, I think, you know, it's more about when we're like obsessing too much over the labels of it and ignoring the reality of the situation, which is much more that, well, if two people are in love, then great, whatever.
they've gone through gender reassignment surgery.
Have they had a sex reassignment surgery?
Yes, that's
it's not. Well, I wouldn't grant that you can change your sex.
He knows what she means. This is like fucking shit.
Okay. Well, I think, honestly, I'm not the most
There's no such
educated on
thing.
it. Okay. So it's impossible. Even when you fully transition, like if I had surgery and went through testosterone and stuff, it's not possible. Because people do change their sex on their government IDs.
I mean, is it not, would a lot of people not grant that in at least some way, even if in a superficial way, is more gay being a man having sex with another man that has a penis than being a man that has sex with a man who's had a vaginoplasty? Doesn't one of them kind of seem on the face of it more gay than the other? You know what I mean?
What do you think about that?
So he managed to not really engage and let her change the subject.
So even if you had like the surgery, the like estrogen, everything, you changed everything, you changed the sex, for you would be like, if a male's still male,
It wouldn't be straight.
transgender, yeah, it wouldn't
Okay.
be straight to you.
No, it wouldn't.
Okay.
I guess I can kind of see where
I can
you're
see it.
coming from.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, this is fine. I don't really care about this. I don't agree, but I don't care to like try and convince someone that I think maybe it's not the gayest thing in the world for a man to have sex with a transgender woman who has had surgery. Even if you're going to say, well, it's homosexual behavior. Well, sure, you know, I can grant that. It's not really an important point.
No, I can
because
see
It wouldn't be straight.
I understand where you're coming
Even
from.
even if she's got perfect fake titties and she kind of looks like a
Here's the
woman.
thing. Would he care that much about the label if he was that attracted to a trans woman that he wanted to have sex with her? Would the label itself put him off?
Even though I have some disputes over this, whatever. I don't know. There's some women in Thailand who I guess do a pretty good job, whatever. And they got the vagina.
Right.
That's not pussy.
It's not.
It ain't pussy.
It's a gaping hole.
It's
Not really a gaping hole. People exaggerate the fuck out of like vaginoplasties. Listen, there's like possibilities for complications and some fucked up shit happens. It's kind of dangerous. It's not something you should recommend anyone does. But then people say like the surgery creates a disgusting wound that is constantly trying to heal. Like that's a bit of a ridiculous way of putting it. Is it disgusting? You can like clean it every day. It doesn't have to like smell or anything like that any more than like an actual vagina would. Would you say that a vagina is disgusting? I wouldn't personally. Like people, it's like you get, I don't know. I don't have a good example to hand. And mostly I see it on like Twitter. So like Twitter is not like, it's not representative of anything. But the way people refer to like vaginoplasties and stuff, like your wound and like all this kind of shit, it's a bit nuts. Like the actual reality of it, it really isn't like what people are saying. I got lucky. I mean, maybe. I guess anyone gets lucky if there's a possibility for something bad to happen, but it doesn't happen to you. I think the Richie Herons and the Jazz Jennings and stuff, I don't think they're the majority, if that makes sense.
size a hole into you and invert the penis in.
Right.
The penis tissue is in. That's not pussy.
I just ate.
It is still dick. That's certainly correct. But it doesn't resemble dick. And what my kind of thing is, well, I think sexuality and attraction is probably a lot more to do with what resembles what. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying.
It ain't pussy. You know, as somebody who
I'm fine with it. I don't need to go around saying I have a vagina. I don't have a vagina. Comment about gaping wound is unnecessary. Yeah, it's too much. Truthfully, I mean, some people probably don't look after their shit, and it gets a bit disgusting. You get women that don't look after their vaginas and don't clean them ever, and they get a bit disgusting. Like, you don't need, if you're not down with like trans shit, that's fair enough. You don't need to exaggerate, you know what I mean? You don't need to make out that something is far worse than what it is. It's like, I always say this, but it's like when people lie about Donald Trump. It's like, is there not enough like real shit you can criticize him for? You got to make things up.
who's familiar with labias, not a pussy. Not labia, not pussy. It's inverted penis.
It's interesting. They have the actual procedure. They do it. If there's a video for it, there's several at this point, but like they do it with Play-Doh and they show you how it's done.
I've seen it. It's crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I hear where you're coming from. Can I
I mean, it probably is gross if you look at like the procedure and stuff, but again, like, look at what's going on. Look at what's going on with any like surgical procedure. It'll probably be kind of gross. Someone is attracted to the taste of fanny, it might not convince them. Well, that's the thing. Different people taste differently, right?
ask you just, you know, if you're comfortable talking about it, which I assume you are, just what your opinion on transgender and LGBT people are?
Well, the LGBT and transgender is different.
LGBT, well, what do you think
Isn't that a big question, the history of questions?
the T stands
That's
for?
the T.
Right, but there's lesbian, there's gay, there's bisexual.
Yep,
That's kind of
LGBT.
really different. Than,
So you have different opinions on sexuality versus
Gender
identity?
okay, I guess I'll say this. So trans people exist. It's a phenomenon. I'm not denying it. Gay people, bisexual people exist. This is obviously something. Speaking specifically on the trans thing, though, what's my general thought on it? Is that your
I guess,
question?
like, do you respect trans people is my baseline question, or do you think it's just an abomination?
An abomination. That's an interesting word. Yes, I would say I respect trans people. I would say that these people, I don't think that they should receive, because they're trans, I don't think they should be hurt in any sort of way. I don't think they should be bullied. I don't think that they should. I wish for them to have happy lives. I have no ill will or hatred in my heart for people who are trans. However, I don't subscribe to this idea. Well, a couple different ideas. I don't believe that you should give children puberty blockers. I don't think trans...
This is a very, very normie perspective. Most people are like this. Most people are fine with that trans people exist. They just don't necessarily think that that makes you the other sex. They probably aren't super down with children transitioning, or like males in women's sports. It's a very normie perspective. And the sooner people get their head around that and understand that something like this alone, I don't know too much about the rest of this guy. Maybe this guy is a transphobe in other ways. But that kind of thing in isolation, that doesn't make you a transphobe. And if you think it does, then you are. Your like ideology has become kind of alien, to be honest. Kind of bizarre.
Women should be competing.
I agree with both of those takes.
In women's sports. There is, I don't really have...
But you think about it. If I met someone like this, he probably wouldn't call me a woman, and that's fine. I don't ask anyone to. I don't really call myself one. But like, we'd be fine, because I'm fine with all these takes, and I kind of agree with most of them.
What's the term? I don't have a dog in the fight, really, but probably shouldn't go into women's bathrooms.
Okay, yeah. I see where you're coming from.
Or women's changing rooms. And if you're like, I'll use their new name, like if they're used.
Not because of puberty blockers per se, kids too young for trans shit. But I mean, it's important that like you're pausing someone's puberty kind of forever and then giving them other shits. That is also like worth considering. Like, you know, you're inducing some kind of DSD on these people because they have certain feelings inside of them. That's very extreme. So I think both are important. It's important that that's what you're doing and that there could be all kinds of consequences to their health from that. And it's important that this kid is making that decision at a very young age where they're probably not mature enough, where they haven't developed anywhere near to their full extent. Like, just let people work the shit out as adults. Very, very simple. And most people feel that way. Most people don't think, well, no people should ever be allowed to transition. I don't think that's a very common take, to be honest.
Used to be Bob and now they're Jessica. I'll use Jessica. I won't use the pronouns, but I will use their new name.
Okay.
And but besides that, I think that I don't buy into it.
Yeah.
I don't buy into it. I wish them well.
Yeah.
I don't have any hatred for them. I think that there's like certain, at least with like children, stay away from the kids. Like they can, if you want to transition when you're 18, people, you can't be stopped, whatever. Although I may probably have some opinions on that. Like, is it like you're going to be a physician assistant? Like, is this in contravention of like do no harm, like chopping off men's penises, like mutilating people under the guise?
I mean, I don't really feel this. Like, you kind of have to look at it as being in line with like plastic surgery at the very least. I mean, we kind of want more than that because plastic surgery is seen as like elective. It's seen as cosmetic, as it probably should be. Whereas we're trying to make out that trans is different. And like, I don't know, that's the kind of thing people need to stop pushing the trans kids thing and like trans sports and shit. What you want is to safeguard the idea that the reason you transition is because of a mental health illness, a mental health issue. Because that's how you get it on like the NHS. That's how you get it on like insurance and stuff like that. But like if we push the postmodernism too far and shit like that, it might just end up getting taken on in a way where it's like, well, then it really doesn't mean anything. And it's just a preference for some people. Well, they can pay for it out of pocket then, you know?
Of healthcare, but like what if they have a mental illness?
I've definitely seen it firsthand and I've definitely come across it.
So I mean, ultimately, like my perspective is I think there's a mental illness component to this.
Wait, so are none of these people even trans? Unless one of them comes out. I haven't seen any trans people because this person claimed they weren't, and that's the only one that he tried to clock. It's not been very heated either. I'm being clickbaited. This is annoying. These people are supposed to be pretty. Is that why people listen to them? Well, I mean, they have a revolving door of like women that show up. You get like people like Not So Erudite and people like that show up just to sit here and get on the mic at this big podcast. You get a few of these. They're like kind of more red pill, if you know what I mean by that. And they bring on all these women to like have conversations with. It's usually like slop as fuck. And that's coming from me, listen. I understand that I'm not exactly, this isn't exactly high art of like content creation, what I'm doing, but like, Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, one's gender fluid. Well, they seem to have chosen to be more feminine today, so I'll say that they're also a woman.
Okay.
Like in the same way that we wouldn't like affirm somebody who's schizophrenic,
Right.
like whatever their delusions are, I do think that there's a mental illness component to this.
Okay.
Can I add something to
Yeah,
that?
sure.
I think for me, it's hard to understand why it wouldn't be considered a mental illness. One, because if you do consider it, you get covered by.
I mean, yeah, that's just echoing my point. Gender dysphoria is a mental illness. I think really anything is a mental illness if it gets to the point where it's like negatively affecting you. You might have like a tiny amount of gender dysphoria where you feel occasionally, I kind of wish I was born a girl, not a boy, but it doesn't really affect your life. It doesn't really make you feel down or anything. You just have those thoughts occasionally. Perhaps you could say you have gender dysphoria, but it's not really a mental illness in that sense. I think really a lot of things exist like that where it's when it starts affecting your life. It's when it starts getting difficult. It's when it starts taking you over in a certain way. When all you can really do is like think about that kind of shit when you probably should be focusing on other things. When it influences your behavior potentially in a negative way, things like that. So I think absolutely, depending on the severity, it should be regarded as a mental illness. And beyond anything else, there shouldn't be any shame in having a mental illness. Most of the time there isn't, which is bizarre. You get the same kind of people that want to push back against the idea that gender dysphoria is a mental illness. Are the same people sometimes that on their Blue Sky or Twitter or whatever are listing every fucking mental illness they have like it's an achievement. So it's a bit backwards. It's a bit bizarre. There's no shame. You want to call me mentally ill, you can. Even if me having gender dysphoria doesn't make me mentally ill, I make the count on so many other things anyway. There's no shame in that.
Insurance a lot of the times and the procedures get covered.
Yeah, if it's not for a mental illness, what is it for? Your identity? Well, what is that? What does that even mean? So like, it needs to be made out that it's a medical issue if you want it on medical insurance, if you want it on the NHS, which the NHS exists for like medical purposes, you know what I mean?
And this is like purely insurance purposes. Like if you use gender dysphoria or whatever, you can get certain things covered and certain like benefits from that.
And ultimately this is what people should be safeguarding, and this is what people should be fighting for. Not this trans kids shit, not this being in the wrong fucking sex sport shit. All you're doing is like turning people away from you when you push for that kind of stuff, which no one wants and which is inappropriate.
To me, like it doesn't make sense to me why it wouldn't be. And
the analogy with anorexia is a rata too. Pruning isn't starving yourself to death. Like, I understand the analogy because it's about, well, someone thinks they are something they're not. You wouldn't, because someone says they're fat when they're skinny, you wouldn't give them Ozempic or whatever shit. So in that way, it makes sense. But the way people put it, they seem to forget that if you give an anorexic person liposuction or get them like calorie counting, get them eating almost nothing, they'll probably die pretty quickly. Their health will take a downturn pretty quickly. If you affirm a trans person, you're not necessarily doing that. Like, maybe they will have health issues, but it'll take a hell of a lot longer. It'll be a lot more subtle. And beyond anything else, thinking you're something other than what you are isn't really what trans is anyway. Like maybe you just have that strong desire, and so you seek treatment to become more like the other sex? Are you not transitioning? Are you not getting gender affirming care? Are you not trans?
I don't think that's a bad thing, though. Like, I don't think that's...
I feel like you guys have
it shouldn't be
opposite arguments.
Huh?
I said I feel like you guys have opposite arguments in the sense that you're saying you feel it should be classified as a mental illness so insurance can cover the transition, right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, I wouldn't...
If you're pro-trans, that should be your argument, yeah.
I feel he
illness,
doesn't think
Yeah.
Think what?
well, you don't buy into it, right? So you probably don't think that people should be transitioning in the first place. That doesn't mean you wish them any
Right, he never said that. He said that they should be free to, if they get older and that's how they feel.
ill will or whatever.
I acknowledge that they have the choice to do it, and America grants us certain freedoms to do things that I might not necessarily agree with, but
More, he doesn't think it's right, but like, you know, we're in a free country, whatever.
I mean, should the government be like paying for it, or there is like a consideration when it comes to the healthcare field, like, is there a component of it's making them a lot of money?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
And you become a lifetime, like...
Yeah, autism has a big crossover. And I can certainly see why autistic people are more likely to feel that they don't fit in as the sex they are. And again, I think it comes down to like the influence of gender on society. Because like, I think with autistic people, things like unwritten rules are more likely to make no fucking sense to you at all. And you're more likely to reject them. So like, gender is pretty much based on unwritten rules. Well, a man should wear trousers, a woman should wear dresses, for example. An autistic male might be like, well, I want to wear a dress. And I think the reason why men wear trousers and women wear dresses is stupid. And I don't really understand it. That doesn't mean that you're a woman. So I think that like autism does kind of confound things.
Patient too. You
Right.
know? So there was a debate.
That's true.
There was a debate on
You think it should be classed as cosmetic? Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
the modern debate.
But ultimately, that's kind of the real debate when it comes to should you be able to transition on insurance, on the NHS, whatever. Well, are you treating a medical problem such as a mental illness? If yes, then yes. Some of these people, I mean, the thing is, if you'll grant that there's a mental illness, then you might have to grant that this might be the best treatment for them. You know what I mean? Autistic people's famous black and white thinking. Well, yeah. If we're constantly having it equated that being a man means doing this and wearing this and saying this and having this job and having this role in society, then that will also confound like an autistic person to where you might lose the distinction of what is gender and what is sex, to where the gendered things are causing you to start thinking you're the other sex, for example.
channel. I want to say it was like maybe 2 months ago. And there was something that was brought up about like how it can be identified in early childhood as latent homosexuality, but something about the way in which it is handled. Like if there are some, God, I wish I could remember. Totally recommend going back and listening to this though. But he was basically saying that if it's identified in early childhood, typically with boys, it shows up as just homosexuality. And once, for a period of time that they come off of the...
I mean, listen, I can say that for myself. My transition started from a place of me like dressing more and more a certain way, feminizing more and more, wearing more and more makeup and stuff, and messing around more and more. And at the same time, I have this kind of empty feeling that I've carried around with me, and I'm like out on my ass and like lonely and stuff and thinking way too much about this kind of shit. Like it's certainly like I do 100% believe it's easier to lead like an autistic person down that path. But I think more than anything, I would imagine that something goes wrong in someone's life. And that tends to also be a precursor. Like if you're around your people, it kind of seems like you're less likely to really question any of this kind of stuff.
The puberty blockers, things kind of sort of like end up running their natural course, and they are just simply gay men, and they don't want to become.
Yeah, Hazard, I agree with you. The other thing is, in more recent times, like, I don't know if it's like specifically in the last 10 years or whatever, but historically, autism has been much more common in males in terms of like diagnoses than in females. And it's much more nowadays that we're starting to recognize it more in females, and the balance is starting to redress. And at the same time, we're seeing more and more like young, like trans men and stuff like that. Now we're at the point where like autism is like I don't know if I want to say that it's like overprescribed or overdiagnosed, but it's certainly more common than ever. It's a bit like ADHD. It's like everyone is queuing up to get like one, the other, or both.
Women, but there was also a conditioning point too, and I'm forgetting what he said. But
can I ask you a question though? You want kids one day?
I do.
Okay, let's say your 10-year-old son comes to you, says, "Hey, mom, I think I'm a girl." How do you proceed?
I think that
Andy Ditch is fake. Well, listen, if Andy Ditch tunes out at any time in the next however long, then maybe it wasn't fake after all. There you go.
I'd probably go to therapy, not on some conversion shit, but just
Also, when you call him fake, you are abusing him, and that is not appreciated here.
to educate myself on what exactly that means for me as a parent. I probably would be respectful in the sense that I would support my child in, let's say my son wanted to become a girl and become my daughter. I would call her
Become a girl, but they don't become a girl. That's the whole point.
by she, her, whatever name she wanted to go by. Maybe I would. Obviously, you're used to.
I think this person doesn't understand. You're like loading the dice already. The correct answer surely is to like, what is actually the reason why they're feeling this way? Do they want to like wear certain clothes? Do they want to do certain things? Like, maybe just let them kind of mess around with stuff that is more feminine, but is more them. And like, just not rush to put a label on it. Maybe that's the better idea.
Calling your son by he, him, calling your son by the boy name. So there would be a period of transition, but I would try to remain respectful.
No, but like right away, I understand.
Yes, yes, I would try.
You might make mistakes.
I would need to have a conversation with my partner, but eliminating my partner and their opinion and their thoughts and everything. And this is
Let's
just
assume
me.
your partner completely agrees with, is going to completely agree with.
Correct answer is ask them why. I wonder how much parents nowadays that are more likely to affirm kids, do they kind of question anything, or do they just jump straight to it? Are they like kind of encouraged not to ask questions and to just affirm? If that's what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's difficult to explain. But I wonder how much questioning any of these parents do. And bear in mind, it's a fraud situation. You end up getting these parents that don't really want to affirm and stuff like that. And then this huge wedge develops between them and their kid. And that isn't really good. Shouldn't be happening. You know what I mean?
With you on everything. And I realize that, yes, there would be some mistakes that occur because you're making whatever, you accidentally misgender them a couple times.
Right.
But would you immediately just start, they come to you and say, I think I'm a girl. I want you to start using my new name and my pronoun she, her.
To be honest, I think I would need to talk to a life coach and a psychologist, a children's psychologist, before telling you for sure that I would do that, just to make sure that there's not going to be any long-term ramifications in case that they do go back on their gender and they, you know what I mean?
Yeah, do parents ever they get this told to them, and instead of asking any questions or doing anything, they take them straight to a doctor. Well, the doctor's the one that knows for sure. Well, the doctor's going to affirm you, so long as you're saying the right things. And they probably are saying the right things because they're telling you they think they're a girl and they're a boy. Like, it's all a bit dodgy, you know? It's hard to express what I feel about this. Like, it's not that you shouldn't trust doctors, and it's not that you shouldn't get the advice of doctors about stuff like this. But that shouldn't be the be all and end all. A doctor shouldn't have that much sway in this kind of thing. Does that make sense? Medicine is God sort of person. Yeah, I think that may be what I'm thinking, what I'm describing.
detransition, but I would try to be supportive in the best way that I can by calling them by their new pronouns, new name, allowing them to express themselves in fashion and makeup and whatever it may be. But I would
Like
not
immediately though.
I'm gonna say yes, but
I think the problem is now you're not even allowed to ask why you feel that way. That gets called transphobic and now considered conversion therapy. Well, I mean, your parent doing it. Like, you can't really say your parent is doing conversion therapy by just asking a few questions. Like, anyone saying that is like nuts, surely.
But I would, if this was a real scenario, I would educate myself. But I would not allow my child to do any gender reassignment or any hormonal.
But you're loading the dice. If you socially transition them, you're loading the dice straight away. They're more likely to go on to those kinds of things.
Things before 18. And honestly, I posed the question too, if that should even happen before the age of 25, just because your brain is not fully developed.
Well, hold on. But what if
It's a very odd take. So I'll affirm the fuck out of them, but no medical or surgery until you're 25. So it's a bit lopsided, no?
the medical community said, actually, this gender affirming care is what is medically indicated. And they say that, well, if you want your transgender child to have the best transition possible, you should transition them and put them on puberty blockers to stop male puberty so that they can, you know, their voice doesn't get deeper, certain, you know, body hair, they don't go through male puberty. That is the, they're saying this, that is the best case thing, and that's what the medical
I mean, if you're telling me that medical professionals are recommending that, then yes, of course I would do that. I have no
Oh my god, there we go. Yeah, so whatever the doctor says, people need to get out of this mentality. You have to like question and think for yourself and try and get to the root of it before you take your kid to like a doctor to just get affirmed and be told, well, your kid's gonna kill himself if you don't do it. These women look better than biological women. I'm pretty sure all of them are biological women, except maybe this here, which is not anything. It's a doll. This has been somewhat interesting. Like, whatever is fucking brain rot, but it's been somewhat interesting. Sometimes hearing normies talk about this and work their way through their feelings on it is something.
problem with it socially. So if that is the best thing to do medically to make my child happy and healthy, then of course I would do it.
Now, do you believe that certain doctors can be idolized?
Because you don't know if it's the best thing for them medically. You can get an opinion on whether it is or not, but you don't know. And these doctors are unlikely to know until they start the process. And what complications happen, well, who knows what that's going to be. It's not like a done deal. Your doctor isn't God when it comes to medicine. They just have a lot more qualification to speak on it than you do. But that doesn't mean that they automatically know what's best for your child. And if they say, transition your kid immediately, that doesn't mean rush out and do it, especially when it comes to trans. Because when you actually look at it, a lot of the data, a lot of the studies, a lot of the evidence for trans kids is not amazing. And listen, you're going to have to be okay with the fact, probably not getting any grandparents.
Ideologically captured?
Do you mean biased, or what do you mean by that?
Like they're ideological.
I hate this kind of shit. You have to kind of, it's a bit hard to know how to put this, but it's like, well, they follow the WPATH model. WPATH is literally like trans medicine by trans people for trans people. So it is extremely biased. Like, you say kind of like ideological and like ideological capture and stuff. I think it does kind of turn people's brains off.
Logically captured.
So repeating the word doesn't help me understand it any better.
So, okay. You realize that, for example, you said you'd go to a therapist.
Yes.
Therapists are over.
I always saying like, do they know what's best, or are they repeating what they're being told? Are they basing it on what's best for the kid, or are they projecting their own opinions on the subject, regardless of that?
Overwhelmingly left-leaning. So they're typically going to have like ideology that is in line with like mainstream leftist or left-leaning propaganda, which would relate.
I hate Americans talking about this. It's not even like a leftist thing necessarily.
To LGBTQ stuff, specifically transgender stuff, and the official position of the transgender community is that it's
The official position of the transgender community. So what? Someone like me who doesn't think like your average trans person. We're just like not there. Like, I hate it. Like this whole trans as a monolith thing. It needs to go. It needs to go. Just talk about W path. What you're talking about is W path. So talk about W path.
absolutely acceptable and fine and encouraged to medically transition children and to give them puberty blockers.
Can I jump in real quick?
That I'll just finish my
Let's get
thought
the answer
really
and then
quick,
you
and
can-
then you can do it. I did mention that I would also go to a psychologist and a life coach, which aren't necessarily left-leaning.
Oh my God. I'll go to a psychologist, which isn't necessarily left-leaning. What does the APA say about like transitioning kids? They're in full support.
You think all life
Psychologists-
coaches are left-leaning?
I don't know why you'd go to life coach, but
Life coach, like what are we talking about?
like a psychologist or psychiatrist,
All of them are?
a lot of them are women, and a lot of them tend to lean
Yes, there is capture within psychology as well. Really, you want to talk about W path? Well, these are the people setting the standards that these doctors are following. Do you think these are good standards? Bear in mind, the doctor will uphold it because that's what they're trained to do. You know what I mean? There's ideological capture stuff. It sounds like conspiratorial. And you start bringing in the left and the right and stuff. It's like, that's not really it. You know what I mean? Brian sucks at this. Andrew Wilson would be way better explaining this to this person. Hey, maybe, yeah.
left.
Okay. I would try my very best to get a diverse sample of opinions.
Okay.
What exactly was your question?
But never like just question it yourself and just try and work through it with your kid yourself. Isn't that the first way? Remember when Jeremy became a life coach on Peep Show? Yeah, Jesus. Can you imagine? You take your trans kid along, and the life coach is like some Jeremy from Peep Show type. Jesus Christ.
Question?
Well, you wanted to come in on
I
that?
have
go
to be at
for
work
it.
at 6.
Wait, she just wanted to jump in to say she was gonna have to be at work. Wow, amazing. Well, there you go. Whatever show, whatever podcast. That was interesting, but it was also complete brain rot. I'm not gonna lie.